That mean that because I mean I heard some people just describing some of these calls as perhaps it's just opportunities that they should have spoken of a long time before now. And now, is there any such thing in your vocabs as too late to make this call?
It's never too late to say the truth. Even at the point of death, you're encouraged to say the truth. And after saying the truth, you can die. Let me put it this way. Anybody who keeps silent in the face of oppression, in the face of injustice, deserves the worst part of hell. Professor Saludo, Professor Tommy, they have spoken. And we're very happy. They have added their voices. The governors have spoken, we're happy. I am speaking. I also encourage other people to speak. Not just Igbos, but people from all parts of Nigeria. If people speak and you charge them with treason, then what are you setting up? You know that system of government where only the governor is right, only the president is right, and anybody says anything contrary becomes the enemy of the state.
How soon do you expect him to be released?
One, it depends on the Honorable Attorney General and Minister of Justice. I remember at the National Conference, of which I'm proud to say I was a member, we said that position should be separated. Attorney General of the people should not be answerable to the president. He should be answerable to the people, the Minister of Justice. So I expect our Honorable Attorney General and Minister of Justice to do the needful, to do what is right. I advise Mr. President that this treasonable charge or this treasonable trial will do you no good.
But can we say he hasn't done that?
Well, I don't think he has done that, because when a man speaks from his heart, you know, if at heart you're a tyrant, you can't pretend much. For how long? If you are a judge and you are trying this kind of case and you accept secret trial, unprecedented since 1999, Al Mustafa did not undergo secret trial, remember? Rogers spoke and all of us saw him. When finally Court of Appeal said, go home, we all saw it. Now it is this young boy who has no weapon, who has no armored car, no AK-47, who is being tried. Meanwhile, headsmen, Fulani headsmen are all over the place, killing people daily.
You know, but what if, in considering this matter, and because some of the clips that they've seen about himself and those who are undergoing this trial, they seem not to be flinching in their resolve to stick with their agitation. So how do they reconcile it if they say, look, because you have said don't give a condition, but we can't guarantee that that will not pop up. If they say, okay, well, could you go ahead with this, but in a different manner, such that your messages will not be that provocative to the country, adopt a different approach, a more peaceful approach, and who knows?
Well, the position of Ohaneze has always been peaceful agitation. And if you go and check clip after clip, the only weapon of this young man and people like him is either their word of mouth or their fist. They do like this.
But if you have messages that are inciting, can you consider
such as
peaceful?
What? Have they ever said, go and kill Mr. President? That's treason. Have they ever asked anybody to kill another person? That would be an incitement to murder. They don't do that. You see young girls of 18 years, young boys of 20 years doing, we want freedom, we want freedom.
Not
but
even in an entity like our country who is united, that is united, and then they're calling for a sovereign state of Biafra, a country inside a country?
Well, have you even asked why there is this agitation? There is this agitation because there is a glass ceiling. If you're an Igbo young man and you're in government or in the uniformed services, you have first class, you have second class upper, you have 2-2, you enter. After some time, you start marking time. Those who entered with you will suddenly climb, and you'll be seeing them through the glass ceiling, and you cannot enter. It is the injustice, and we made this point when Obasanjo was in power. Joe Iroku was the president of Ohaneze then. A delegation had a meeting with then DSS chief, Colonel Are. It is this injustice. Try to correct it. Now look at the appointments made last Friday. Did you see any Igbo person there? Except one Dr. Ngozi representing a ministry.
Perhaps you don't want a Biafra, perhaps you want the presidency to come from...
No, you didn't hear me when I said injustice that led to agitation. And now remember, we're talking of restructuring. When you restructure, the first thing you put on the front burner is level playing ground. It is this absence of level playing ground that led people like Nnamdi and others, who were not even born during the war, to ask what is going on. Agitation for Biafra is always in the heart, but how it's done is what we're talking about.
But is this just, this injustice, is it just about the Igbos, or you see this because when people speak about education and the ELD estate, it's not just the Igbos. It happens to a lot of other people who are not in that bracket of the educationally less developed states, and people have called for us to have a second look at that. So is it just the Igbos, or it is that structure that affects the entire country?
No, it affects everybody. Injustice is there, but some people benefit, others do not benefit. Let me just give you some clear-cut examples. All the parastatals under the Ministry of Internal Affairs, who are their heads? Minister of Information released last week. Who are they? I begin to ask myself, at a point you begin to mark time. You're in the police, you have up to 3 or 4 degrees, you are Assistant Commissioner of Police, you are Mets who have only 1 degree, already AIGs. And you think your own son will be happy to see that situation?
So if those were addressed headlong, will there still be need for this freedom or agitation?
Now that is the question. If we are allowed to willingly form a country called Nigeria, the Yorubas will not be talking of Odua Republic. We will not be talking of Odudua. Hausa Fulani will not be talking of Arewa. Igbos may not be talking of this. So as it is today, let us have a restructuring, get together. If we are going to be one, let us discuss it. If we are not going to be one, let us part peacefully. But as for the rights to form a country of your own, it's an inborn right. The United Nations took cognizance of that. It's not the first. So Scotland is asking for another referendum, remember, in less than 1 year. Barcelona, most Barca fans know it, but they don't know the geographical problem there. The Catalans, they've been asking for right to move. What of East Timor? It moved at the cost of a lot of blood. So it's always there. It's a natural thing. United States, for all these almost 300 years of existence, what are they doing? Okay, those in the South are also asking.
Okay, the core is a different matter, but the reasons also differ from those specific examples. But about this one, could we then say that this agitation for states within a state is perhaps embedded in saying what would rather, or if, as I did ask earlier, if they address, or if we have a proper federal system, will there be any need for this?
If there is a proper federal system?
Yes, because some governors, I heard some governors say, look, what we have is a federal system on paper, but in practice it's a unitary system. So perhaps predicating it on that, assuming without considering that's the case, if they then say, all right, we'll address this question about what happens to our federalism, will this call still be necessary?
Which is called state autonomy, which is called regional autonomy. In other words, all of us are different. We develop at our different paces in our own way, but we also have one center. In simple language, devolution of powers. Reduce the powers of the center, increase the powers of the regions or of the states, and see what will happen.
So shouldn't that be the call? Because it's not going to be easy just saying, yes, we want to stay within the state, because it happens to every part of this country. People have intermarried, cultures, traditions are entwined. It's not as easy, as straightforward as people think.
It is not easy, but it is doable. Now, people have been asking me, does it mean that if we have Biafra now, all the Igbos like me will leave Lagos? I said, no. That is not the same thing.
Then there's really no need to have it.
No, hold on. Brexit does not mean that Britain will leave Europe. Remember, it's a different thing altogether.
But you'll have people who will tell you, well, since you have Biafra, go to Biafra.
Those ones are uninformed. But now listen, one thing we are all calling for is restructuring. At the national conference, we dealt with this thing deeply. And it is very sad that Mr. President said, I've not read it and I will not read it. The solution is there, but he will not read it. So let it be there. And so the agitations have been going on. Now let me ask you, Why do you think this judge will be embarking on secret trial? Unprecedented. The former judge, Justice Ni Ademola, said, let him go. And the DSS descended on him immediately. And you think all these boys are not watching? Tomorrow you come and tell them a story? See, treason, Wolosho can remember. They went for him. They went for Awolowo. When you talk, they go after you. Must we all stop talking?
Mr. Godwin Wazuke is a legal practitioner and the former president of Ake Kenga. Thank you for talking to us this morning.
Thank you very much.